So the first book is Dave Ramsey. It's the Total Money Makeover. I imagine a lot of people in the room have heard of Dave Ramsey. He has a radio show. He's pretty popular nowadays. I really like this. I like his system because it functions. It's the system that I used to get out of debt in 2015. That was a really kind of seminal year for me in my practice. We had all of our student loan debt still. I think we had $160,000 in student loan debt. And it had been 8 years since I graduated from law school, and I paid off, I think, $3,000 of it or some insane thing like that. So I didn't want that debt anymore. There was a real, there was a transition year. I wanted to get rid of all these things and really change things in my law firm. And that's when I really started reading books and really started making a lot of decisions. And Dave Ramsey was one of the first decisions. It was, let's get rid of this debt completely and totally. How do we do that? Let's find a system to do that. And Dave Ramsey was that thing. The Total Money Makeover was that thing. We're going to over just a second, like the baby steps, as he calls them, and how to do it. But I can tell you that this functions, and if you have a boatload of debt, maybe you're better than I am, but I just can't have it in my life. And I think everybody is better when they don't have it. So I would suggest you start here and get out of your personal debt as quickly as humanly possible. So what Dave would say is you need to follow these steps. They're called the baby steps. It's 1 through 7. The first is you start with $1,000 for an emergency fund, just in case stuff happens. Then you have $1,000 to deal with it. All other monies that you have, you cash out and you pay toward your debt. Like if you have mutual funds, if you have all of these different types of things, you cash all that stuff out, with the exception of retirement, IRAs, 401ks. You cash all of it out and you pay it toward debt. You keep $1,000 and that's it. And then you just work like a madman to pay off the debt. And that's step number 2 is the Debt Snowball. So you make a list of all of your personal debts, every personal debt you have, from smallest principal to largest principal. Not interest rates, those don't matter. Smallest principal to largest principal. And then you just start chunking on the smallest debt until it's gone. And then you go to the next one and you use all of the money that you paid on the smaller debt and all of the other money to go to work on that second smallest debt. And then you go up the chain until you get to your largest debt. So this is a very kind of, and it doesn't make any sense when you think about the math, right? You want to talk about interest rates and things like that. That's not what we're doing here. This is about behavior, and you just want to get rid of the debt as quickly as possible. And to do that, you need some victories. So you want to get those small things paid off. Now, during this whole thing, you're not taking vacations, you're not eating out, you're not doing any of that stuff. You are paying off debt. That is your and your family's one job during this period of time, which is tough. But if you do it, you'll actually get rid of it. If you don't, then it's just going to hang around like a pet for the rest of your life. So, okay. Baby step 3, you need to get, and this is when debt's all paid off, you put together 3 to 6 months worth of expenses for your household. That's an emergency fund. So if stuff happens, you have 3 to 6 months of a cushion. Right? I think it's a great idea. And whether you do 3 or you do 6 depends on whether or not your job is stable. So the more stable your job is, you can go down to 3. If you have a job where you think you may get laid off or change jobs or whatever, you want 6. Right? If there's volatility, you want more in the till. Okay, so that's 3. 4 is invest 15% of your household income in retirement or just investing in general. And then 5 is college funding for your kids, if you have them. And 4, 5, and 6, steps 4, 5, and 6 you do at the same time. So you're putting aside 15% for retirement, you're putting aside money for your kids' college as well. And then 6 is you're paying off your home as fast as you can. So any extra cash you have laying around after you've done these things, you're just putting it toward the mortgage. And the question always becomes, well, why don't I just invest that money instead? I can get a higher rate of return. I mean, that's probably true until the stock market doesn't do so hot, and then you kind of wish you paid off your house. The idea really is that once you get the house paid off and all these things, you're done, right? Your debt is done, and you can make whatever decision you want at that point. And let me tell you, there's nothing more freeing than not having a single payment to anybody. It's fantastic. And then 7 is just build wealth and give as much money as you can or as much money as you want to whoever you want, right? You've got through those steps, and 7 is really just, you're just amassing wealth at that point. But you go through these steps, it functions, and it functions really well. And it definitely helped me and my wife a lot, changed our money lives.